good afternoon. Thanks for tuning in to this extended stream of This Is Now. We want to take you live to the Hawaii State Capitol, where a press conference is being held to address an innovative partnership to help address Hawaii's teacher shortage. Let's go ahead and take you to the State Capitol live.
For being here. I'd like to ask our first speaker to come to the podium, Lieutenant Governor Sylvia Luke.
Thank you, Kathy, and thank you all for being here. In the beginning of this year, in January, we were able to launch what's known as Ready Keiki. And as you can see by the board behind me, Ready Keiki is a commitment by the state of Hawaii to provide access to early education for all 3 and 4-year-olds. In order to do that, it wasn't just the state of Hawaii leading the charge. We needed partnership from many of the departments, all the counties, many of the philanthropic private partners, including Kamehameha Schools, including Chaminade University. The Ready Keiki initiative, just kind of as a way of background, as I said, it's a commitment by the state of Hawaii to ensure that all 3 and 4-year-olds will have access to early education in 10 years. Currently, about 35,000 kids are, there are 35,000 kids who are 3 and 4-year-olds. Out of the 35,000 kids, 18,000 kids are going to preschool. That means 50% of the 3 and 4-year-olds don't have any access to early learning. If you further break down the numbers of who are these kids going to preschool, I would say just under 1,000 out of the 18,000 are going to public preschool, many of them through public charter schools. Majority of them, 17,000 or so, are going to private preschool. So the reality is this: people who can afford to go to preschool are sending their kids to preschools. People who cannot are simply not able to send their kids to preschool. It's more than getting kids ready for kindergarten. It's really about a social injustice issue. That's why it's really important for the legislature and the state to take on this initiative. One of the things that the legislature committed to do, while I was finance chair last year, we set aside the largest one-time appropriation to building out preschool in order to fill the gap. The state of Hawaii appropriated $200 million to build public preschools throughout the state. What does that mean, and what does that accomplish? At an average of, out of the $200 million, at an average to renovate a classroom, it costs about $1 million. To construct a new classroom, it costs $2 million. So as you can see, $200 million will go make a big step forward, but it's not enough, and we continue to work with the legislature. This year, we're happy to announce that in addition to making some gains in building some preschools ahead of schedule, and actually half the budget of what we thought was going to cost, what we have launched is we're also providing support on the private side. So in addition to the $200 million, which will build public preschools, we have increased what's known as preschool open doors. These are subsidies for low-income families to be able to send their kids to preschool. We have increased that amount, which has been at $12 million for a long, long time. We're increasing that amount to $50 million. So as you can see, with $12 million, the state of Hawaii was able to take care of about 1,400 kids. So you can imagine how many more families we would be able to take care of with a huge bump from $12 million to $50 million. That's not where it ends. One of the things, the challenging things that we deal with, not just in education, but throughout the state, you hear this over and over again. We have a workforce shortage, whether you're in healthcare, whether even the airlines are having a shortage. You can see by all the delays in air flight whenever you travel to the neighbor islands, it's because of shortage. And that shortage is compounded and felt even greater in the early education sector. We hear about teacher shortage on a yearly basis. And one of the things that we wanted to make sure is if we're planning to build out enough preschools to fill the need for our community, we also needed to make sure that there was enough teachers, there was enough teachers' assistants to fill the void. The amount of preschools that we are planning to build over the next 10 years, is about 450 preschools. That means we're gonna need 450 preschool teachers. That also means we're gonna need 450 teacher assistants. Where would we get these teachers' assistants, and where are we going to get many of our preschool teachers? That's why this is a great day where we're announcing this partnership. Thanks to the Chaminade University, thanks to the efforts of Kamehameha Schools, thanks to many of the partners, we have found a way to fill that void and fill the pathway so we can fill these classrooms with qualified teachers assistants, so that these classrooms won't go empty when we start building them out. I just want to end with one thing. A lot of times there's always criticism whenever you deal with state government, whenever you deal with any state projects. People always say everything is not within budget, it's slow, it takes twice as long or sometimes 5 times as long. And you can see many of the big public works projects, that's the biggest complaint. It's over budget and it's not efficient. The Ready Kiki initiative, thanks to all the partnership, we had hoped to start building preschools next year, August of 2024. We are 1 year ahead of schedule. So we will be opening up 11 classrooms in August of 2023. That means for the 11 classrooms, we are going to need 11 teachers and 11 preschool teachers' assistants right away. And we're working on a very short time frame, but the reason why we're able to do this quicker, faster, more efficient, less costly is because every one of these partners and everyone who is committed to making sure that our 3- and 4-year-olds who are left behind have the ability to go to preschool, they're all driven with that single purpose. So I am so honored and grateful that I am a part of this partnership. And I just want to thank you guys for being here, and I'm going to turn it back over to Kathy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Governor. I'd now at this time like to ask Dr. Lynn Babington to come to the podium.
Thank you, Kathy. It is good afternoon and aloha. It's my honor and privilege to be the president of Chaminade University here in Honolulu. And I'd like to thank all of you for being here today, most especially Lieutenant Governor Sylvia Luke, the president and CEO of KS, Jack Wong, Dr. Waialeali Sarsona, the vice president of Hi'ale Kamehameha Schools. Thank you for your leadership, collaboration, and our partnership here as we work together to resolve the teacher shortage here in Hawaii. At Chaminade, we are really committed to being a university that looks beyond itself and engages in the community, in public service to enrich the wider community at large here in Hawaii. And we all know that education not only changes lives, but transforms lives. Through our innovative programs and services, Chaminade strives to provide opportunities for both our undergraduate and graduate students in fields that not only fulfill their passions, but also the needs here in our community and in the world. Education can help to transform our community by preparing people to be engaged and responsible citizens. And for our youth here, education is a right, it's not a privilege. Yes, we here in Hawaii need more teachers. The pandemic exacerbated this need for teachers who understandably became fatigued and stressed as students required more and different types of instruction. Many students may still be trying to catch up. Following the lead of Lieutenant Governor Sylvia Luke's Ready Keiki initiative, Chaminade University and Kamehameha Schools formed a partnership to create a teacher preparation program which ultimately helps to resolve the teacher shortage here in Hawaii. Through this transformative vision and generosity of Kamehameha Schools, Chaminade University will offer 150 fully paid tuition scholarships, 50 each year for 3 years, to earn an online Bachelor of Science in Education beginning this September. We are just launching this program. We already have many, many applicants from across all the neighboring islands. We are thrilled with, so far, the response. All Hawaii residents with additional consideration extended to those of Native Hawaiian ancestry are eligible to apply for the new Mu'o Scholarship at Chaminade that's provided by Kamehameha Schools. Now, this Bachelor of Science in Education includes 4 distinct areas. 1, early childhood education, which allows one to teach in preschools. Also an early childhood education with a Montessori certificate. We have a Montessori education program, and that allows teachers to teach pre-K through kindergarten with a certificate in Montessori education as well as a Bachelor of Science degree. This will also include elementary education Bachelor in Science, which extends licensure to teachers from kindergarten through the 6th grade. And then finally, the secondary education Bachelor of Science degree, which leads to licensure to teach grades 6 through 12 in one of the core content areas, which are English, mathematics, science, or social studies here in Hawaii. This program's 100% online. It's designed to appeal to working adults to earn their degrees to become teachers. The estimated time to completion is 36 to 48 months, or possibly sooner, as some of our students we expect to bring credits already from a community college or other university education. We have exceptional faculty and dedicated advisors and counselors who are going to work very closely with this cohort of students and to oversee the program. It also includes a student teaching component where students will be placed in partnering schools in their desired grade level of teaching towards the end of the program. So applications are being accepted now, as I said, and those interested may find this information on the Chaminade University website. So 50 new teachers completing their degree in 4 years, another 50 in 5 years, and another 50 in 6 years. This isn't going to resolve the teacher shortage immediately here in Hawaii, but we hope that it will provide some traction and interest for students and young people all over to begin looking at teaching as a career. And thanks to these scholarships, again, by Kamehameha Schools, we are really making a healthy and positive start here. Again, we're grateful to Lieutenant Governor Sylvia Luke for your wisdom and foresight to build more classrooms and initiate the Ready Keiki effort, which, of course, as she said, requires more teachers. We are blessed by Kamehameha Schools' fulfillment of their responsibility to give back to the community, which provides educators with scholarships and thus the qualifications to inspire, lead, and teach our youth. That's what this partnership is all about. As William Butler Yeats once said, education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. I'm sure all of you can think of a teacher in your lives that made a difference, that had a positive impact, or still is making a difference today. Through this teacher preparation partnership, future teachers will begin to light the fire for future generations. Thank you very much for your attention. Kathy?
Thank you so much, Dr. Babington. I'd now like to ask Dr. Waialeale to come to the podium. I'm sorry, Dr. Sarsona.
Thank you. Aloha kako, everybody. Thank you for that. You reminded me of my teachers and how special they were in my own educational journey. So mahalo again. So I'm Waialeale Sarsona. Here on behalf of Kamehameha Schools. I'm really pleased to be here to share the work that we do in our community and really speak to the foresight of our founder, founder Bernice Pauahi Paki Bishop. And through her, we focus on Native Hawaiian children in all that we do through Kamehameha schools. And as had said previously, equity and social justice really starts with access, and access to foundational educational opportunities right in our children's own communities where they can be nurtured and prepared for their educational journey. And that really takes educators, nurturing educators, well-qualified educators, and we hope that we can find them right in our communities. And so while we continue to participate by providing our own opportunities for our babies across the state, across our Kamehameha preschools, we also recognize that there are, as Sylvia Luke had mentioned, many more that still need the kind of support for a great start that we're looking for. And so recently we've launched, as you've seen here, our logo, launched KS Kaia'ulu, which really focuses on that, the keiki and ohana that are in our communities, to ensure that they have access to the opportunities that Kamehameha and many of our partners provide. So it's an online platform where our families can see all of the partnerships and supports that we've developed for them and with them, many of them. We've named the scholarship Mu'o, and Mu'o really means this idea of budding or growing from a Hawaiian perspective, that really is the beginning of growth. And you can think about it as our babies, as our 3- and 4-year-old keiki that we are speaking about and hoping to support today. And so the scholarship was named that in representative of a focus on our 3- and 4-year-olds and how we take care of, again, the beginnings of their journey. For me, I like to think of this partnership really having a triple investment here. First of all, investing in our future educators. As was shared before, we will support 150 over the next several years to become educators in our community. But what's most important, and what we hope we see, is that our rural communities now have access to education online. And if many of our families living as far as Ka'u, or in Honaunau, or in Hana, or Lanai, or Kauai, might have the opportunity to become educators right in their own backyard, and how special that is. As Dr. Babington reminded me, in thinking about my educator, Kumu, that were in my community, my 5th grade teacher lived 2 doors away from me, and I've never had that experience. And so when I think about the opportunity here for our future educators, I think about the opportunity for our families to want to be in their own communities, their own elementary schools, and their own preschools and teaching. And so that's really an investment in the future educators right in our own backyard. Secondly, it's an investment in our local families. We know that the cost of preschool is extremely expensive. If any of you have children, you know it's sometimes just as expensive as your mortgage. It's competing with food and transportation. And this is one way that we can support that. And so the more qualified educators we have, the more classrooms we can open and get to those families that really need to take advantage of this support so that they can continue to live here in Hawaii. And lastly, and most importantly, it's an investment in the lifelong journey and education of our children. If you think about the next 25 years and where our keiki will be, these children that we're trying to serve today and over the next several years are the ones that will be preparing to lead this state in the future in the next 25 years. And so how do we prepare them the best that we possibly can? And education as early as possible in early learning gives them a really excellent start. And so in closing, I just want to extend just a tremendous gratitude to Chaminade, especially Dr. Elizabeth Park and Dr. Janet Davidson, who really allowed us to sit alongside them and design this to meet the needs of the community. And that was really important to us, was the ability for programs and services and higher education to be right in the backyard of our communities. And so just thankful for that. And of course for our Lieutenant Governor, who's really leading our statewide effort to ensure that every child has the opportunity for early learning. We know that there's a significant gap here and we have a long way to go. I've been in early learning probably for about 20 years, and this is a significant move in the past 20 years that I've seen, and I'm really looking forward to that continued effort for all of our keiki. So again, appreciate everybody here today and just thank you for your time. Mahalo.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sarsona. At this time, we're going to open it up to questions to the group or to individuals, and I'd ask that all three speakers please come behind the podium, and I'll be out there helping to pass the mic around. So you all can stand down.
How much of an investment is this every year? I mean, it's pretty sizable, right? I mean, 50 scholarships, so it's at least $1 million a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And who pays for it? How is it divvied up?
Yeah. Well, as we said before, yes, you're right, it is expensive, and this is paid for through the generosity of Kamehameha Schools, as they are committed to educating teachers for the entire community to fill the gaps that we have. So it's it's a partnership between the funding coming from Kamehameha Schools and Chaminade also contributing to that as well.
Do we know the cost?
Totally, the cost through,
Maybe year by year?
$1 million plus?
Can you ballpark it?
ballpark it.
Came up with $1 million.
Yeah. It's around $1 million a year, yeah.
For the, I guess this one would be for you too, the student teaching track part. So this is an online course to get the degree. Once they get to that part, will that be in person? Where do they go? Or do they get assigned to a school?
Yes, certainly they will be in person going to the schools. And it will be depending on their location, because as we just talked about, we want to keep people in their neighborhoods and what grade level they're interested in and getting their education in, everywhere from preschool through high school. So yeah, those are partnerships with the Department of Education.
Please ask a question. Do you expect more beyond this, both from this partnership and then from the other private partners as well? We'll be seeing more of this because this is very helpful, but there's that very large teacher shortage gap.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say, this is one of many partnerships that our communities offer, not just Kamehameha, but other philanthropic organizations also partner to offer. So I think this adds to the number of educators, hopefully the state can graduate every year. So I believe there's already more, and we're adding to that.
This partnership is probably the largest commitment that the philanthropic, thanks to Kamehameha Schools and Chaminade University, revising and adapting their curriculum to fit the needs of the working families. Of course, you had other workforce scholarship, but those are small compared to what Kamehameha Schools is committing. But there are ongoing conversation with the University of Hawaii Systems and other philanthropic partners. Yes.
You talked about the $200 million for the classrooms. I understand the first 75 is already being appropriated. Can you talk a little about where the money's going and how it's being spent?
Yeah, so out of the $200 million, we, before Governor Ige left office, he provided $5.5 million as kind of a startup money. So we were able to try to get as many classrooms out of the 5.5 million. So that's why we were able to get 11 classrooms out of 5.5, which is pretty amazing. So the next round of funds, the Governor Green released 75 more million dollars. Out of the $75 million, currently what we're doing is we're working with the Department of Education and the various schools to vet out which location and what communities the preschools will be going. The first priority, of course, is looking at renovation, because clearly renovation, with renovation, it's less costly. The other thing is certain renovation bypasses the county permitting process, so that's why we're able to do it very quickly. In fact, the $5.5 million, in order to expend that and to have the contracts out and get ready in August, we were able to do it basically in 6 months.
But I thought some of that money's already appropriated, because I've seen some state lawmakers put out releases saying this much money is going into this school, things like that. Has that already been made?
No, so that was a preliminary list. So a lot of times, even the capital improvement projects, the legislators or different schools might say, hey, you know what, we would like 10 classrooms or 5 classrooms. And then when Department of Education and our departments go and investigate, there is not enough room for 10 classrooms, or they're not quite ready because you need significant amount of foundational work, which will be really costly. So we are looking at maximizing the use of 200 and continuing to identify which locations and which schools would be best fit. So those lists are always changing.
Yes, I have a question. So this is a question not specifically about this program, but what happens after it. So one of the most difficult, I think, challenges to staffing for preschool, for early learning, I think we had in our previous, right, our roundtable where we talked about salaries. And I wondered in the Ready KE initiative and in your looking at the whole picture, whether it is expected that we will also see, in addition to this very helpful initiative, this particular program, is there a focus also looking at what these teachers, once they're done with the program, what they're going to be earning afterward and how that's going to change?
So currently, Department of Education teachers, preschool teachers are also treated as DOE teachers. So they're part of the collective bargaining, and any type of collectively bargain amounts will also be translated, and they will also benefit from some of the collective bargaining raises. I think part of the concern, I think we also talked about it, the part of the concern is how about on the private side? Because what we don't want is we don't want to basically supplant what's going on the private side and take the teachers away from private sector providers and then and have them go to the public schools because the public school teachers are making more. I think these type of initiatives, by defraying the cost of education, is a huge step, because a lot of times, individuals who are going to school, they incur debt and not able to work at the same time. So the initiative that you see today, Kamehameha Schools, along with Chaminade, provide that ability for individuals not to incur debt. I think the second thing is because we were able to increase the allotment of preschool open doors from $12 million to $50 million, part of that funding will go to ensure that they provide sufficient salaries for their workforce as well, because on the private side, they are also struggling with workforce. And Esme, just going back to your question, this is, we are just so thankful to Chaminade and Kamehameha Schools for filling the void. And they recognized the issue right away. As they were partners in our discussion, they realized that it's not enough that we build preschools. We have to fill these preschools with teachers. So they, I'm just so amazed and grateful that they were able to have this discussion and come out with this package. It's because when have we ever had a situation where these type of organization work so quickly to fill that void and almost immediately? For the state, going forward, we will be looking at how successful these programs are, and then are there different philanthropic or public support. And it is really also the University of Hawaii's responsibility to make sure that they help us create that pathway, and they're already starting that discussion.
Hi, everyone. I think we're just about out of time. Maybe we can take one more question, if there's one more question. No? All right. I think that this concludes our press conference. I want to thank everyone very much for speaking, for being here, and thank you all for being here. This ends our press conference. Mahalo.
Thank you.
And once again, you were listening at a live press conference with Sylvia Luke, Lieutenant Governor, as well as some very special invited guests there regarding some solutions to early childhood education and the teacher shortage. We do have a team there, and we are working to recap this story, and we'll bring you the full details in later editions of Hawaii News Now. We want to turn now to Hawaii Island as we look back on the 5-year anniversary since Kilauea's 2018 eruption. Of course, that changed so many lives there in Leilani Estates and Hawaii Island as a whole. Our Casey Lund and Ben Gutierrez traveled there, and our Casey Lund is all there this week, providing some special reports in Sunrise as well as our evening newscast. For more on this, let's send it over to Casey Lund.
Recovery means different things to different people. For the some 700 plus families who lost everything, complete and full recovery feels like something they may never achieve. But at least one person I talked to says the new path they found forward is bringing them much needed peace. Almost exactly 5 years ago, Susie Osborne rushed to evacuate her beloved charter school, Kua'okala, which was eventually destroyed by lava after fissures opened up in Leilani Estates back on May 3rd, 2018. Susie also lost her home.
I went home, I'm looking at all these cracks, and I'm like, what the hell? I came out to talk to the guy, and then all of a sudden we both looked and went, ah, and boom. And she exploded right there, and the county workers, get out, get out, get out. And I just jammed in my truck, had nothing, none of my animals, and that was it.
Despite her warm disposition, it's a challenging story to recount, but an important one. It's also a story she's told all too often. We've followed Susie over the last 5 years. She says now her focus isn't on the past, but on the future of her school and her students, now divided between two campuses.
We have 185 students right now. We had to let go of our high school because we didn't have the facilities. We continue to have our preschool out in Nanavale, where it always was, because that wasn't impacted. We relocated to the Nanimau in Panaeva, Cusping, Hilo, and Puna.
Osborne has found strength and encouragement through community partners and dear friends, like County Council member Ashley Kirkowitz, elected to represent District 4 Puna shortly after the eruption.
In all my years, 47 years here, I think she's the most hardworking, committed, progressive, dynamic, collaborative, caring, deeply caring council person we've had.
My son is a kindergartner here at Kua'okala. She's a rock star. I love her, and I'm so appreciative of this unfortunate event, but the bright spot is the relationships that I've been able to develop with my community.
Kirkowitz coordinates Revitalize Puna and co-chairs the Economic Resilience Capacity Area with Susie. Recently, their efforts, in partnership with other groups, won Puna a $225,000 grant from the USDA.
We are bringing county and community members in a very intentional and meaningful way to take action on the Kilauea Recovery and Resilience Plan that was developed after the eruption.
The eruption didn't help the county's homeless problem either. In the last year, the county's number of homeless rose by nearly 20%, something Kirkowitz is working to address.
The eruption did play a role. Many folks were displaced. Obviously, the incredibly high cost of living in the islands has contributed to that.
Kirkowitz says last term she introduced legislation to create an affordable housing production fund that already has a balance of $18 million.
What that's going to do is help to get more housing on the market, helping projects get over the finish line.
Together, these two Hawaii Island women are working to heal their community, and in doing that, find their own healing as well.
It has been a really long, slow recovery, individually, for my school, and for the community at large. I think I'm finally starting to feel personal joy again after 5 years, and come back to, like, Susie's back, and hopefully my ability to manifest great things in collaboration with our community. So that's what I want. I want to see us move from surviving to thriving with joy and aloha.
I want to mahalo Susie for sharing her story. You can find out more about Revitalize Puna and some of the other resources available for those who are still struggling a half decade after that eruption. All that information is at hawaiinewsnow.com. Reporting in Lower Puna, I'm Casey Lund.
Leilani Estates is one of the many private subdivisions in Puna, and most likely only Hawaii Island residents were really familiar with it. It was May 3rd, 2018, when the first fissure opened up in Leilani Estates. By the time the eruption was done, lava covered nearly 14 square miles of land and claimed more than 700 homes. When the eruption began, several residents were forced to evacuate, including Liz Lovejoy Yunt and her husband, Steve, who ran Pele's Kitchen restaurant in Pahoa.
Letting people eat down to Miley Street only. Get your belongings and get back out.
We were there when the county allowed them to return home, just long enough to get their belongings.
Try to hurry because you might be able to go back for another load before we... And then when I get off work, maybe we could go back for another load because whatever's there is going to be gone.
It was chaotic as the couple grabbed as much as they could, including a children's book Liz helped to write.
It's all about being peaceful, and I think I'm doing a good job. It's pretty nerve-wracking.
How much stuff can you fit in a 2002 Sentra Island car that's got its engine light on?
They took a chance in returning home while the eruption was still underway down the road.
You could see Fissure 8 like going 24 hours a day, and it was like right over there, and the air was still smelling like poisonous gas and was kind of white, and everything was gray because all of the leaves and the trees and the grass and everything, they'd lost every bit of greenness.
But all the greenery is back and thriving, much like Liz and Steve. Even though there was so much destroyed, the eruption brought the Yunts a sweet shift in their lives.
Uncle's now making chocolates. The coffee actually loved all the sulfur and whatnot, hellfire, you know. Yeah, they thrive, so we pivoted.
Their son has taken over the restaurant while Steve has started a new business making chocolate from the cacao trees around the farm. And now they're better prepared for whatever Kilauea may bring.
We do have like go bags and we put all of our really important papers in areas where we can just grab and go.
Until then, they're enjoying getting out of the chaos of 5 years ago, back to the calm they have now. In Leilani Estates, Ben Gutierrez, Hawaii News Now.
Let's go ahead and end today's extended stream with a live look outside. This is a look out over the Kaka'ako area. As you can see, a small boat harbor is there off in the distance, and the sets on the south swell are rolling in. It's a fairly beautiful day here in Honolulu. We thank you so much for tuning in here on Hawaii News Now extended stream. Be sure to tune in to our early newscast. The first one, first at 4, happens on KHNL. Thanks for watching, everyone.